Okay, it is 7 o'clock. If everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Jason, would you lead us? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our City Council meeting this evening, Monday, March the 9th. Let's begin with roll call.
Tom Mikulek, Ruth Smith,
Here.
Jason Tate,
Here.
Andrea Zielinski,
Here.
Ellen Porter, Katie Williams,
Here.
Zach Weiss,
Here.
and Shelley Briggs-Loosely.
The agenda this evening is the American Red Cross Month Proclamation, so I'll read that. And let's see, Caitlin? So wait till I'm done and then come to the podium and you can say a few words at that microphone there, okay? Red Cross Month. Whereas in times of crisis, people in Roseburg come together to care for one another. This humanitarian spirit is part of the foundation of our community and is exemplified by American Red Cross Cascades region volunteers and donors. And whereas in 1881, Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross, turning her steadfast dedication for helping others into a bold mission of preventing and alleviating people's suffering. Today, more than 140 years later, we honor the kindness and generosity of Red Cross volunteers here in Roseburg, Oregon, who continue to carry out Clara's life-saving legacy. They join the millions of people across the United States who volunteer, give blood, donate financially, or learn vital life-preserving skills through the Red Cross. And whereas today, kind-hearted individuals in our community exemplify Barton's commitment as they step up through the Southwest Oregon chapter to provide a beacon of hope for our neighbors in need. Through their voluntary and selfless contributions, they make a life-saving difference in people's darkest hours. Whether it's delivering shelter, food, and comfort during disasters, providing critical blood donations for hospital patients, supporting military families, veterans, and caregivers through their unique challenges of service, saving lives with first aid, CPR, and other skills, or delivering aid and reconnecting loved ones separated by global crisis. And whereas their work to prevent and alleviate human suffering is vital to strengthening our community's resilience, we dedicate this month of March to all those who continue to advance the noble legacy of American Red Cross founder Clara Barton, who lived by her words, "You must never think of anything except the need and how to meet it." We ask others to join this commitment to give back to our community. Now, therefore, I, Larry Rich, Mayor of the City of Roseburg, do hereby proclaim March 2026 to be Red Cross Month. How about a round of applause?
On behalf of all the volunteers and staff at the American Red Cross, we'd like to thank the council for this proclamation.
And then Caitlin, they're going to want to get a picture, so come on forward and we'll get a picture. You got it? Let's give our Red Cross and volunteers another round of applause. An announcement to make. Last Thursday, we had the ribbon cutting ceremony at the new pickleball and tennis courts. So if you haven't seen it, definitely take a time to drive out there and right across from the YMCA, look at that facility. Really nice, excellent facility for our community. And one of the things that we talked about when we were there is the donations. And I want to share that with you because to me it's pretty impressive. It was $2.5 million raised to put that together. And half of that came from our community, from volunteers in our community. So 1.25 million from just people, individuals in our community. So that's pretty impressive. And then the other half of it was the city and the grant funds. So let's give a round of applause to all those people that donated and were willing to do that. And then the next thing I want to talk about, and I need your input on this one here, and that is the goals and the homeless commission, not the homeless commission, the homeless discussion that we have coming up. We're having troubles getting everybody to find a date. And so the question is, at what point do we want to move forward? Do we want to make sure that we got everybody? and we keep on looking, no matter how long that takes. If we miss one person, do we continue on? One of the things that we need to talk about is this Monday and Tuesday, we found out we're going to miss somebody off of the council, so now we're down to, instead of 9 of us, we're down to 8. Now, do we re-look and continue to make sure we got everybody? Do we go without the one? What do we want to do? And it's going to be the same thing that may happen when we get ready to do the homeless discussion. What do we want to do? We make that doodle poll, we try to get everybody, and it's actually pretty tough to get everybody to find a date and a time. So that's the question in terms of, let's talk about the first one coming up Monday and Tuesday. We have the consultant ready to go. So that person is willing to come down here Monday, whatever, I think it's 4 to 8, Tuesday is 5 to 8, and now we're missing somebody, and so it's kind of like, okay, do we continue on without that person, or do we want to reschedule? So give me your thoughts, and what do you want to do?
I think we should treat the meeting just like our meetings here. If we have a forum, we should go ahead. Quorum, excuse me, quorum. We should go ahead. Without one person, that's okay. Go ahead and have the meeting.
Okay. Well, give me your opinions, everybody, because I want to hear it. I know
Okay.
that we always try to get everybody. That's kind of critical, but
I'm in agreement with Tom.
with Tom?
Yeah. If we have a quorum, then we should move ahead. We can't keep putting stuff off. Because we're missing somebody, we have to get stuff done.
Okay. How about we go right down the line? What do you want to do?
I agree. I think if we have a quorum for both events, yeah.
Andrea?
Same, I agree with that.
Me too. We need to move forward, so quorum.
Zach?
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree that if we have the quorum, we should be moving forward. It's just more important to be moving forward in some of those things than waiting at this current moment.
Okay. So the one coming up is Monday and Tuesday, 4 to 8, and Monday's 4 to 8, Tuesday is 5 to 8, is that correct?
5:15, we have Library Commission that should adjourn by 5, and so we'll meet at the Public Safety Center at 5:15.
Okay. And then the other one is, you don't have that doodle pull out yet for the homeless discussion?
The doodle poll is out, and we have a couple of dates. It looks like that we have a quorum, so we'll get with you and settle on which date.
Okay. Okay. So as soon as we know what date it is, we'll get that out so you can put it on your calendars. Let's see. Next thing on the agenda is number 4, special presentation, and the first one up is the police accreditation presentation.
So thank you. And on Zoom, we have Scott Hayes, who is the Executive Director of Northwest Accreditation Alliance, that department is who accredited us. And I will let him talk because he may answer everything I was going to tell you anyway. So let's let him talk, and then we'll see if we have questions after that.
Super. I just want to make sure that you can hear me okay.
Yeah, give me just a second for the visual, though.
And Amy, do we have it on our screens too? Oh, for our screens?
So it looks like we're going to have to go with audio. I can see Scott, who is a very nice gentleman and has great lighting. So, no, I can't. So we may just have to hear Scott.
Okay, would you like me to continue?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, good evening, City Council and members of the community. I am Scott Hayes, the Executive Director for the Northwest Accreditation Alliance. I appreciate the opportunity to address the Council and present the Roseburg Police Department with its first award of accreditation under the leadership of Chief Gary Kloppenstein. Law enforcement is experiencing a changing society with increased demands for police accountability and transparency. As in our past, our profession must face these challenges and work with our communities to address their concerns. Accreditation is one step towards building community trust. The Northwest Accreditation Alliance is comprised of members of the Oregon Association of Chiefs of Police, the Oregon State Sheriff's Association, and the Association of Public Safety Communications Officials. And we provide accreditation services for 117 law enforcement agencies and communication centers. The Northwest Accreditation Alliance is recognized by the Board of Police Standards and Training, the Department of Justice, and by Oregon Revised Statute as the state of Oregon's accrediting body. Accreditation goals are straightforward. They're there to support the continued improvement of law enforcement services, to establish best practice through professional standards, to promote agency accountability and transparency, and enhance overall operational management. For the Roseburg Police Department to become accredited, it had to adhere to over 110 law enforcement standards. Compliance is generally expressed through policies and procedures and adherence to Oregon state law, Oregon administrative codes, constitutional provisions, and city policy. Our standards are established based on best practices nationally and through changes in federal and Oregon law. In addition to meeting these 110 standards, the agency must also demonstrate compliance by following established policies and current best practice. Then reaccreditation occurs every 3 years. This is truly a monumental step for any agency to be evaluated by an independent outside organization and to have their policies and practices scrutinized. I do want to acknowledge the chief who acted as the accreditation manager. The chief joined the Northwest Accreditation in July of 2025 and was accredited in January of 2026. This set our record for completing the initial accreditation process in record time. So, Chief and the City Council, on behalf of the Northwest Accreditation Alliance, Professional Standards Committee, and Board of Directors, we'd like to congratulate you on receiving your first award of accreditation.
Thank you, Scott. And this is the award that we got, and so I'm glad to answer any questions if you guys have any. It was a lot of work, but it's going to be well worth it. So basically, our whole policy manual was opened up, and anything that, as Scott said, was deemed, everything was looked at, and anything that needed to be made better, we made better, and so we're now at that high standard.
So this is something new, right,
Yes, this is our first one.
for us, but is this new for the area?
I don't know. I think the sheriff's office is also accredited. I think they got it accredited a year ago or a year and a half.
But I mean, did this organization just get put together pretty recent to do the accreditation?
Scott, how long have you been in accreditation business?
Since 2002, about 25 years.
Typically, it was the larger agencies that were accredited first.
So
And
what
then-
kind of benefit does this give us because we're accredited now? Does it give us any cuts on insurance or any of those kinds of things, or what is it?
It does give us a cut on insurance. It also helps us if we're in a lawsuit because we have best practices and we're using best practices. So it's definitely helpful there as well. And it's best practices. So it's going to help us make the right decisions if we're following our policies. So
Chief, what was it was 5% on insurance?
I don't, it was up to 5% total.
Is there any upkeep or anything for the accreditation? Is there like a yearly evaluation, or how often does that all work?
Every 3 years I'll get accredited, but every year I have to do they call them proofs, all the proofs of all the 100 and whatever he said. I have to have the proofs for those every year. So I won't wait till year 3 and go back and find those 3. Every year we'll go through and line them all out. So each year we're done with them. And then on year 3, we'll be evaluated back all 3 years.
If I may, Chief?
Yes.
So we do ask for proofs of compliance. So for each standard and each bullet within a standard that we ask for one proof of compliance for that 3-year period. So we don't want to overburden the agency, but we want to ensure that, in fact, they are doing that. Now, a proof of compliance can consist of a report, a photo, documentation. It's wide open as far as what we will accept. So the key factors are we look at very high liability issues for the agency. So on an annual basis, we ask that the department provide a use of force annual analysis, a pursuit annual analysis, a internal affairs investigation annual analysis, and then another real key issue is property and evidence audits and inspections. So we don't ask them to do a ton of work every year, but what we do is we focus on those 4 major reports because we want the CEO of any company to be totally aware of what's going on within their agency. And by having them do an analysis to look at training issues, personnel issues, or need to update policies, that's what we like the CEO to do, and that's what we have them do by doing an annual report.
Accreditation, and then Oregon. So is it Northwest or just Oregon?
Northwest Accreditation Alliance.
So Washington, Oregon, Idaho, that's the group?
I can answer that. So actually about 12 years ago, Alaska reached down to us and they were looking for an accrediting body. And they looked at a number of different programs. Not all 50 states have an accrediting body. They looked at our policies or how we do our standards, and they came down and met with us. And we currently provide 6 law enforcement agencies in Alaska with accreditation. However, primarily we are associated with the Oregon Association of Chiefs of Police and the sheriffs. So our bulk is all within Oregon.
And you're out of Salem?
Yes, sir.
Part of one of the state, whatever, agencies there?
The Oregon Association of Chiefs of Police are, if you brought up their website, they are our parent company. So myself, our assessors, all work for the Oregon Association of Chiefs of Police, which is out of Salem. Now, our assessors and myself, we're located in different areas amongst the state.
Anybody else? Questions? I got one more. So is it like an audit? They show up, go through all your books and records and walk your buildings and all this stuff? Or do you have to just send stuff to them and they evaluate it that way?
We put stuff up on a software platform and they evaluate that. And then they also come and do an on-site inspection as well.
Got it.
It's very thorough.
So I can expand on that just a tad. We use what's called Power DMS. It's our records management system. The agency downloads all of their information into that system, and then our assessors will spend quite a bit of time going through policy and making sure that everything is correct. If we also we kind of expand our searches a little for again high priority issues, and we will make other recommendations. For an example, if we find something else that needs to be addressed, our assessors have been doing this for quite a long time, and they're very skilled at it. So they look at these, they evaluate it, and then if there's issues, they get back with the agency. There's maybe some corrections or highlighting issues, or just basically paperwork that needs to be checked on. And then the on-site, where the assessor will go to the agency, they'll conduct an on-site and verify what we call observational standards. And they'll go through the department, they'll meet with the chief and anybody else, and ensure again that the practice is being a lot of you can say you're doing something, but what we're looking for is that we want proof that you're doing it. So we do on sites.
Okay. Tom?
Where do you get your funding?
So the funding comes from all 117 agencies. So it's based on it's based on the number of officers, sworn officers the agency has. So we have basically A through A size agencies, E being Oregon State Police and Portland Police Bureau. An A agency would be only members 1 to 10. And then their annual fee, membership fee, pays for the assessors and such. We're a 501c3, so we don't, we're not a profit organization. We get by.
So I don't think this has been mentioned. This is actually a statutory requirement that came into being, I think, in 2021 and started with larger agencies and is now a requirement for agencies our size. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was 35 and above. And we're 38.
From the state legislators, they
Yeah.
said anybody with 35 officers or more?
It was 3 phases. So it was if you had over 100, I might get that wrong. If you had over a certain number, you had to do it by year 1, a less number year two, and by year 3, 35 and above, and I was the year 3.
And then it's evaluated as you met the standard, or is it like this is a gold star, this is a silver star, this is whatever?
No, you have to meet the standard. I don't know what happens if you don't meet the standard, but you're breaking the law somehow, so I wasn't going to chance it.
Got it. Okay, anybody else questions? All right, well, thanks. And
Thank you.
What's his name?
Scott.
Scott? Thanks, Scott.
You're more than welcome. Thank you, and you all have a good night.
Thanks. Okay, next one up is Jeff, Roseburg Rescue Mission.
Oh, he's standing there.
Yeah,
Am I off?
we can't
On?
hear you. I don't know if it's on.
Because I've been told I didn't need a microphone sometimes. So. I'll just sit here. Okay.
Is the red light on? Turn the button on.
I bet you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you all for your public service and your attention to the city of Roseburg and what makes us better. And I'm here tonight to present what we do at the Roseburg Rescue Mission. Some of you may or may not be aware. And I want to do my best to give you our story and let you know that we are here to cooperate to help with the homeless situation in Roseburg, Oregon. And before I start, by way of introduction, my name is Jeff Wickstrom. I've lived in Roseburg for 68 of my 73 and a half years. My wife Sharon and I met in high school. We have 2 grown children. I have a daughter that's going to be 50 this year, and 6 grandchildren, all of them. Last one's graduating from Roseburg next year. My wife's family came here to Roseburg in about 1852 via Troy, New York, and across by wagon train, horseback, and walking. And her great-great-grandfather got married in Roseburg in 1856, got a homestead down in Canyonville in 1862. So my grandchildren are 7th generation Douglas County people. And that's important, you know, so what? It's important because we are part of this community and we care about what happens here. And that is one of the reasons why I became involved with the rescue mission about 20 years ago. Prior to that, I had been on the Salvation Army Board for about 45 years, excuse me. And I kiddingly tell people that my mother-in-law, who was one of Roseburg's first citizens back in about 62, when I asked her for permission to marry her daughter, I think that I tell people, and I might be exaggerating a little bit, that one of the parts of the dowry was that I become a member of the Salvation Army Board, because she was too. But public service is important. I owned a business in Roseburg for a little over 40 years and was involved with the Home Builders Association. So making the community better is, I know what you guys are all about, guys and girls. Don't want to get in trouble. So with that, I met with Stuart and Jennifer a couple weeks ago, asked for a meeting because we keep a low profile at the mission. We just do what we do every day. We work on I guess you'd call it a skeleton crew of sorts. We have 238 beds between our Samaritan Inn and our men's shelter. And we keep up with everything. And when when we do something, your city knows about it because we come get a permit. We ask for zoning changes. We bought 5 houses in the last 3 years on Umpqua Street adjacent to the Samaritan Inn, and they are part of our transitional housing. So with that, Jennifer was good enough, said, would you like me to do a slide presentation for you? And you can do that for me because I'm not technically ready. So if you want to go ahead and start, the first thing, our mission is to serve our community with hope and housing. And if you want to hit that next slide, maybe. The rescue mission has been in Roseburg for over 60 years. It was started by a gentleman who'd been an alcoholic, and he found a relationship with Jesus Christ. He started this mission. We're in 100-year-old buildings. You know where we're at. If you drive by there, we try to keep them up. And it's a challenge every day. But we have a great director in Len Antis. Our vision is stated to establish and develop saving relationships with Jesus Christ among the homeless and hopeless. And our mission is to be a beacon of hope for the homeless. And every day we provide food, shelter, and recovery care for men, women, and children that are in need. And we work with different agencies. I think that's the next slide. We work closely with state agencies, and it's important because particularly we work with ADAPT and we refer people. We work with some of the Celebrate Recovery. They come and get some of our men and women and take them to the different Celebrate Recovery groups that are going on. We work with the Oregon Department of Justice because when somebody comes out of jail, out of prison, they need a place to go. And they require that they go to the mission. And there's accountability back and forth between the two. The only thing, we've had meetings in the past with the DOJ, and one of our main concern, because when somebody comes into Mission Emergency Shelter and then they get established and they come in free of charge, we don't charge for our services. There's meals there if you stay there. There's laundry facilities. They have places that they can start to work in our store, both our mission store and our furniture store. We have maintenance crews that work around too, so they get back and get some job experience, and with that comes dignity. So they do require that they come to the mission, and that is one of the conditions of their release. Also, the Department of Human Services, for instance, when a woman comes, they're working with her, she has children, she has gotten either in trouble with the law, she's on probation, she's had her children away from her, but one of the conditions so that they can bring the family back together, they require that they do come, and we work with them in that process. Stable environment so that they have food, shelter, and a safe place with their kids. And those things I think are important. I'm not completely sure about ADAPT. I was doing a little research, but I want to contact them because I understand they have they've gotten grants and bought two motels in Roseburg, one the old Douglas Inn and one on the south end of Stevens. And from what I could gather, they have 53 beds, but we need to talk to them as a mission too, to find out whether or not there can be some collaboration there as far as homelessness, because a great majority of the people that are in the Point, particularly that camp, have meth addictions and other serious addiction problems, alcohol, meth, fentanyl, those kind of things. And so that is another collaboration that we need to be working on. So the three different types of housing that we have is emergency housing and basic shelter, meals, hygiene. They've got a warm place. They've got washing machines and dryers, those kind of things. If somebody has employment, they can pay up to a $5 nightly fee. If they don't have it, it is free. And then as they stay a little longer, there is a work requirement. And I said that earlier about the dignity of that. The second part is our program housing. And we have a program where there's mentoring, there's referral services to different agencies. There is a work requirement at the mission of 3 to 4 hours a day. And with that, there's also, out of our funds, we do a weekly sustenance for each person, men and women, on our program. The third item is transitional housing, and that you have to apply for entry to that. We are limited, but as I said earlier, we purchased 5 houses in the last 3 years for the women. We have room for 12. They are currently occupied. On the men's side, we have 37 beds in the transitional housing. And some of that, they have to apply, they have to have income, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it is a job. It could be that they are on SSI or Social Security, so there is a rent requirement for that. What we're trying to do in any case, if they can, is to get them rent history so that they have availability to take the next step away. Some people that are on SSI, they may live out their years in the mission, and sometimes that's the way it works. As far as the service and work programs, we have our mission store, that's clothing and other sundry items, and then we have a furniture store right across the street in the old, if you lived here long enough, the old Tozier sheet metal. Again, no charge for services. Emergency services are free. Our goal is to incentivize the value of work and community building, not profit. And I will say at that, our annual budget last year was $1.5 million. The previous year was $1.3 million. 57% of that comes from individuals. 2% churches, About 42% of that is income through our stores, and we're grateful for the donations. We get to do that, and it gives our people that are staying in the mission some work experience as well. We also, interesting, we buy rags from St. Vincent de Paul and Salvation Army because we bundle, we have a bundler, we sell rags, and it's not a lot, but we make an income off of that too. So we do our best to try to be a part of our income, and also something that our people can do and have job experience. And I already said before, we purchased 5 houses. Said the last 4 years it's not much over 3 actually. They're all occupied. The men's, again, the rent is a minimal rent, and it bills rent history. And for those of you, I talked to Stuart and to Jennifer about providing you, if you would like, a tour of the mission, and that would have to be something that could be arranged for you to see the facilities, meet our director, and he would have been here tonight, but we felt one voice was enough, and so that group there, they're the boots on the ground, and they're out in the homeless camps weekly. They've started doing that. They didn't before because mostly we had people coming in. This is the next thing. Our occupancy is down quite a bit. We have 103 beds available every single night. A warm place to sleep, a meal, and a safe and structured environment. As far as people entering the mission, we do not do UA unless they are obviously inebriated or under the influence, which might be a danger to other people. We do refer to the hospitals as well if people need care, and I'll get to that a little later in the slide. But we do have beds available every single night for people to come. So the next thing is recently Mercy Medical, 3 nurses came and visited us, and they apparently, and I was not aware of this before this time, they dispense fentanyl at the hospital, and I didn't know that, and I don't know what that program is all about. And they also go out, they have staff that goes out to the homeless camps as well and checks on people and makes sure they're okay. Those that have reached out to them, they're reaching back out as well. And this was an initial meeting just in the last 2 weeks, and we're looking at ways to collaborate with them to figure out a way that we can be the most help from both sides. The second thing, the challenge, a lot of them struggle with severe drug issues, and probably nobody is more aware of that than Chief Klopfenstein and probably Officer Chavez, who goes out to the camps frequently and are checking on people, and they're asking them, hey, why don't you go to the navigation center or go to the mission? I understand the navigation center, if I'm correct, has a waiting list at this point in time. I'm not sure about that, but I know that we have beds available. So we're just starting this discussion with the Mercy Medical staff, the nurses that came in, because they want to know how they can help, how they can refer. I think some of the things about the mission, I go to a Bible study group, and a group of the guys from this particular church, they'll go out every other Sunday after church, and they put up a canopy down by Bernie's camp on North Pine Street, ask people to come, give them coffee and cookies, just want to talk to them and engage and get to know them. They've been doing it about a year now, and I think those kind of things, making contact and letting people realize that they can trust you, is a helpful thing. But to get into a structured environment is the most critical thing, that people who are in the camps are living in a chaotic situation and they need some structure. How do we get them from where they're at? Because it's a scary place to go from chaos to structure. I have a packet also that has a little synopsis of this, and Also, there's a newspaper article that was done about a young lady who came to our Samaritan Inn, and when she first came, her first deal was she didn't want the structure. But then she realized after a period of time she needed the structure, and it was important to her. So going forward, we want to work with whoever we can work with to help solve this homeless situation. I grew up here all my life. I've never seen anything like it, and I know that probably none of you have. And I know that you've struggled with the whole camping, find an urban campground. I'll give you one man's opinion. I think an urban campground is a potential for continued chaos, personally, but that's just one man's opinion. Our goal is to increase our capacity for the transitional housing side of things, which will require more homes, and we're always looking for that. These kind of dropped in our lap. They didn't really drop in our lap. We're paying for them. we have mortgages. So we want to expand our capacity. We want to strengthen family support for people that come in and help them get reconnected with their families. We want to be encouraging a work ethic, personal accountability, and active participation in community life. So we're here tonight to thank you for hearing about what the mission does, who we are, that we are part of the community, and together we can do things better, because the welfare, our welfare and the welfare of the community are the same thing. So the last thing, there's contact information, and I'm sure that if you want this in written form, which when I was in high school 50 some years ago, they said we were going to become a paperless society. However, when you get home, if you're done with the paper, you can run it through your printer and print on the backside before you shred it. So with that, I thank you so much for your time tonight and for your efforts to make this community better, cleaner, brighter, and a happy place for people to come and to see the wonders that we have here in the Umpqua Valley. So thank you very much. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Back here.
Yeah. You said that the attendant or the use is down, correct? You said, is there a number that it used to sit at and what it currently sits at? Like, is there a percentage that you can see that it's dropped?
In the last, I would say 2 to 3 years, it's dropped off, and not completely sure why. I know that sometimes we'll be way up, and I know that UCAN gets grant money, and then they have money for people to get into rentals, but it doesn't end up it's not a lifetime income for people. So we get cycles where it'll drop down and then it'll come back up again. And I can't say for sure, but I suspect that some of that the funds are there, then the funds are not there from other agencies.
So if you had to guess, it's kind of a cyclical thing where it's going in a cycle of funding and then the funding disappears, so then people are back out on the street?
That is just a speculation based on the experience of seeing. We do know that UCAN does get money, and our director, Lynn, has made that comment as well, because he's a little closer to that than I am.
Do you guys do any outreach? I know you do outreach. You have a thing here with it. Do you have outreach talking with the campers or the people that are out living on the street as to why they choose not to be at the mission?
Well,
I was just really surprised by the 103 beds on average. That's quite a few beds.
Well, some of them, there's a variety of reasons. Some say we charge, which we don't. Some people say we have a bunch of pedophiles down there, which I don't know where they're getting their information. a lot of them don't want to be in a structured situation.
Mm-hmm.
Even some people that have families there, and a lot of them do, because a big majority of the people, from my understanding, are from the Roseburg area. They have families, but they don't want to go because they have to quit using.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got that situation, and I'm assuming that Officer Chavez would have maybe a little better idea of that. I don't know for sure, but I know that the group of men that I know that go out, there's anywhere from 4 to 6 people, both men and women, go out every other Sunday. They're getting to know people, but they have gotten the feedback that the mission charges, that there's pedophiles, that the gospel's crammed down their throat, which is not true. I mean, we have a chapel service. We're not ashamed of Jesus Christ, and so we're going to have a chapel service every evening. It's not before dinner. You have dinner at 5, chapel service at 6:30. And so other than that, those are 3 things that I've heard. You know, we charge, there's pedophiles, and the gospel crammed down your throat, which doesn't happen. I mean, in a free country, you don't have to listen. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, when talking with people, I've heard all 3 of those, so it sounds like there's just definitely some misinformation when it comes to that.
so is there anything else, any other things that you have heard? Because, I mean, as a mission, we want to address those.
I mean, I would say that those are probably the most common ones that you tend to hear.
Yeah.
There is some conversation around accessibility. Like, there is definitely people saying that the curfew, I don't know how true any of that is
We
far
do
as,
have a curfew.
and that has been problematic. Where I was going with the next part of that question is, I know there are other organizations like the Mission, other places. Are you guys' rules that you have, are you flexible on those? If it was to, if first instance, just as an example, if the curfew was one of the barriers that's becoming a problem and we wanted to get more people in there, would you guys be willing, or is it possible to extend that curfew?
It is very possible because we do have a curfew. We have rules for a reason. That's the rule. But if somebody refers somebody, and like say a church refers somebody, or the city refers somebody, or the police department refers somebody, and somebody makes a phone call, we have a night manager. They can get them in there.
Okay.
So it's that's the accessibility shouldn't be an issue.
Okay. That sounds like there is definitely some underutilization of that, for sure. And you said you guys function off 1.5
Yes.
million,
Yes.
and I was quite surprised by the amount of donations by the community on that.
We're very grateful for the participation that we have from individuals.
Has that stayed pretty steady at that kind of that
Yeah,
percentage?
that percentage has stayed pretty steady probably over the last 10 years, and maybe even picked up a little bit.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
So one of the things I know that has been a problem for some of the folks is if I personally took a senior down to the Mission, and he had a court date the next day, and I got him into the Mission, checked him in, and he was kicked out in the middle of the night because he had prostate issues, and he was having to get up to go to the bathroom too much. So he was told to leave, and then I completely lost track of him and couldn't get him to his court date to secure his housing.
Sure.
So those kinds of things do happen, and I understand that, not everybody can be taken care of, and if there's medical issues and those kinds of things. But those are the things that are out on the street. That is I think is a pretty significant one that I personally have experienced.
Right.
And then, but to let you know, I had a brother who was on the street. He worked his way up into his own apartment and was able to move on using your guys' program. So there's the good side and there's the bad side.
Right.
And so one of the questions I have for you is, you said that you get, you work with the DOJ. Does the Department of Justice, do they pay for beds for
No.
those folks coming out of probation?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay. So that was my main question.
And that's why we're there. The emergency services are there specifically, and they are free. We don't have, it would show in our budget if it did. We don't receive any federal or state funds, nor solicit them. We have gotten grants from time to time on projects when we're redoing our dormitory, but that's a private, I think it was a Meyer Memorial Trust. But we've found that as a religious organization, we're an arm of the church. We're affiliated. A lot more of these trusts are not are restricting a lot more. If you have some kind of form of religion on there, they have a lot of them have exempted. So those are narrowing. So we're very grateful for our individual donors at the mission.
Thanks for coming, Jeff. I appreciated your presentation. Do you have any thoughts about the Gary Leaf Center?
Not really. I don't know. I think they have 30 beds. I think, and they're getting more pallet shelters now, so they have space. I don't know what their rules and regs are on that, and frankly, I think it's a good thing that the city is making an attempt there to address the issue the same as we are. I don't know in the long run how that will work, and if they're working on getting people toward transitional housing back in society, that's great. I mean, that's admirable. That's all of our goals. So I don't know enough about the navigation center and how that's run. I know that you guys, was it the city that get a contract with UCAN to run the center for a year or 2 years or something like that? And I don't know, beyond that, I couldn't answer.
When a person gets kicked out of the mission, do you know where they go? They can't go there.
So there are certain things that people are, it's nicer to say disallowed, Tom, but not trying to correct you. I've been corrected on that myself. But if there are certain things you do, you're disallowed. And if it has to do with stealing, it has to do with any kind of assault on somebody. If they're not following the rules, they will be disallowed. However, disallowed doesn't mean disallowed forever. I mean, there is opportunity because, there used to be 1 strike, you're out, and then now we're up to 3 strikes or more. But if they're disallowed and they come back, hey, there's going to be go through our check-in, our caseworker, and back in. One other example, and this doesn't exactly answer your question because I don't know what else to say about that, but there's a young man in town that I've known since he was a baby. He's had mental health issues, and he's run out in front of traffic, and he's just lots of stuff going on. And his dad called me about a year ago. He was desperate, and I've known him for a long time, and by the time I got the phone, he'd already taken his son down there. And frankly, with everything the son's gone through, I thought there's no way he's going to end up being in there because he's going to do something bad to somebody. Well, he's been there now for about 8 months. He's been through our program. Now he's in our transitional housing. And I'm going, hey, they're seeing if I see it, I'll believe it. And then if I believe it, maybe I will see it. I was on the other side of that. I didn't really think so. But, you know, there are those kind of stories about folks. And like I say, I didn't know if he'd be able to go in, but he's stable, and it's a great thing for the family as well, because his dad was desperate. So.
Jeff, is there anything that you think that we as the city can do or not do to help steer people towards those vacant beds?
You probably could make some laws, but they would be overruled by the state. You know, when I ran my business for many years, I worked with a lot of guys, and I thought I'd never use my college degree, but then I realized that I was running a home for wayward boys sometimes. But, and I would tell some of them that I had a few that were heading the wrong direction in life, and I said, you know, eventually you're going to have to obey. Might be in prison, because you're going to have rules and you ain't going to have a choice. Now you have a choice. So I ache for you in your decision process in trying to solve what you're doing. We want to be a part of that. If you could figure out a way to do some regulations and tell people that they can't stay there, because frankly, I sign up for the emails for the police reports, and there's a heck of a lot more prohibited camping than there are other things for the most part that I see. So it's making it hard on the people that drive by to see. It's hard on the people that are living in the camp. It's hard on the police department, and nobody wants a campground in their backyard. I know you face that with the Homeless Commission. I think there's like 5 different things, but the big one is not in my backyard. If we could figure out a way to work together so you direct the people, and like the DOJ and the DHSs, you've done this so many times. You can't be here either, I don't know, like say, leave town or go to the mission. Leave town or go to ADAPT. I don't know how we funnel people into that. I wish I had a golden answer for you on that. I'm here to let you know that we're here. We have beds. We want to help, and we want to make our community great.
So you said that there is a work requirement. So do you pay people, or is it just you get housing and food?
Get housing and food.
Okay. For that. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's my only question at the moment. Well, one more. So like safety is one of the barriers. Like a lot of people feel like there are pedophiles there or sex offenders. How do you ensure that people feel safe in that environment?
First of all, I mean that's a fallacy. I mean, I will say this: when we started working with the DOJ, we said, listen, we need to know if these people can or cannot be around women and children, particularly in the men's situation. We have more of that with the men's. So, and we don't need to know if they're a pedophile, because the important thing is you just tell us they can't work in the store, they can't work here. So we're addressing that issue. When you're living in a community of people that have lived in chaos, it is frankly miraculous that everything runs pretty smoothly. I mean, we're trying to be a community, and you're trying to make a community out of people who never knew what a community was before, whatever their home life was, whatever situation they've gotten themselves into. We're doing our best to make it safe, and we've done more safety measures. There was a big issue in a mission in Salem in the last 6 to 8 months. And we thought we had good safety measures, but we did some vestibule so they can come in so far and not any further until we're sure that everything's okay. We wanted to put higher windows because we wanted a little more privacy in our day room. We couldn't do that because of the historical commission, but we're okay with that. I mean, we're in the historical district. We'd love to do it, but we're gonna play by the rules. So.
And then another thing that I hear is that families are separated because you have a men's shelter and a women's shelter, and that sometimes families have to be in two different areas. Are you ever like thinking about how maybe you could keep families together?
We haven't crossed that bridge yet. And, as far as we've gotten, the other side of that is we do have van transportation. So if they're separated, we can make some accommodations for them to get back together during the day. But as of right now, they're not going to be able to sleep together in the same house. And as unfortunate as that is.
Is that so it is something that maybe down the road you might consider, or if that's a barrier to keep people from seeking those services?
Well, I understand that it certainly is a barrier. I don't know if you have a family, and of course there's families in the camps. I don't know how many there are, and I'm going to speak further with Chief Kloppenstein and meet with Officer Chavez, because we kind of want to find out. You don't know who you're dealing with till you know who you're dealing with. And that's why some of these, the mission is doing outreach. Some churches are doing outreach. And one of my things is I happen to be the board president. And since I retired, I told them that I was going to spend as much time with my wife as possible, so don't put me on a bunch of committees. But I'm reaching out to churches and saying, hey, here's an opportunity for you to do something good, and you don't have to go to Mexico for a mission trip. You can go to the Point for a mission trip. So, and like you, everybody's busy, and you have a lot of responsibility, so I commend you for being here on a Monday night, and I know some of you have families at home as well, so thank you for that.
Jeff, I got a few questions. I want to understand the housing. So when they show up, they go into the emergency housing first. If they're like brand new or right off the street.
Correct.
And then if they've been there for a while, they could eventually move to the program housing.
Correct. And just as a clarification, that the facility doesn't change between the emergency housing and the program housing. They just have decided that they have gone along enough that they want to enter our program to get more help, more counseling, and they're going to commit themselves to work. And so at that point in time, then they are in the program. They're in the program part of that. So it's really no difference in where they're at. It's where they're at personally.
So is that one big room that both of those groups, the emergency and the program, are both in that same big room?
Well, it's a building with separate bedrooms.
Oh, there's separate bedrooms there?
Yeah, there are some. They're not all separate bedrooms. Some are like a dormitory type situation. But for instance, at the Women and Children's Center, if there's women and children, we have separate rooms for them. They're not in a dormitory situation. We're not going to put kids in that kind of environment.
Got it. So if a person shows up on the emergency one, shows up with their shopping cart full of clothes, shows up at the door and says, here I am, do they get through the door with all their shopping cart stuff? Does that stay on the sidewalk? How does that work?
Well, that's a question that I don't know the answer to. So I will find that out.
Okay. And then let's see, if they're successful in the program, then that's when they go to the transition housing. And then hopefully they're back in the community.
Correct.
Okay.
That is our goal.
Okay. And then the Point, how successful do you guys feel you are when you go there and you start talking to some of those and you say, hey, we have the mission to go to? What do you feel is the success rate or things that need to make it so successful?
We get a lot of pushback with the three things at the point. The guys that have been going out from the Melrose Church have had a couple people that wanted to come to church with them, then they show up and they don't come. But it's taken time with relationship. I mean, these folks have lived in chaos for so long. It's gonna take some time and more effort to get them to realize that they really need something that's better than what they're living in now. I mean, they go out and sometimes these guys, they try not to bring tents and stuff because that's been a problem. They've so many tents. Adapt was giving them out for a while. And then when they go to pick up they have to go pick up after the 72-hour notice, there's tents and boxes that haven't even been opened yet. So, by having what you're having or an urban campground, I think it's going to end up perpetuating that. So to find a way to direct people into structure is going to be a way better thing. And back to your question, Mayor, they're getting to know people's names. They're coming up to them. They're talking to them more, and they're encouraging them then. Matter of fact, we at the mission met with that group of people the other day just to give them some more information like we're doing tonight, to say, hey, this is what we have available. So when they're sharing with them, getting to know them, their story, they got family here, what's your name, what have you done in your life? I mean, they're trying to create relationship with these folks. And that takes time. I mean, the spiral has been going down for quite a while, and there's a lot of people that need to be helped pick up out of that. I couldn't put a timeline on that. And maybe in a year they've had 2 or 3 people. Now the mission has gone out. They go out weekly. They've started doing that, and they've actually picked and brought a couple people back. One of the people that was in North Pine came back, and he's our cook now.
And so when you go to the point, I always felt like there's some there that are so far into the drugs and alcohol that they can't function around other individuals.
Right.
And so do you guys work with that group, or do you move on to the next one, or what do you do when you run across that? 'Cause it's like they can't really function in the setting.
So what happens is people come down from the point. They've been gathering at the old city shop, the old concrete down there, for those of you who are old enough that it used to be down there. They meet down there and people come down from there. They're not going, they do go out some and talk to people, but they come up, they put a canopy up, say, come tell us your story. So they're trying not to be aggressive with the people that are there. They're trying to be inviting to the people that are there.
Okay. And then I want to ask you if you would actually do me a favor. And we have the Homeless Commission, and one of the things that I tried to get was the Roseburg Mission to show up on a monthly basis and then share their input. And I know that you guys are not into the urban campground idea, and that's okay, because I wanted to still have your input there in discussions with people so we can hear like, okay, this is what you're doing, here's the success rate, and learn from you guys too. And so I guess I'm saying if you could talk to your board and see if there's could be somebody that shows up to those meetings and get on the agenda and share, here's what we do, and we're willing to work together, and
Sure.
it'd be nice to have you guys there.
First part of that question, yes. Second part of that question, thank you for hearing my voice earlier when I said that I wasn't ready for another committee. I appreciate that, but I certainly will discuss that with the board and see if somebody would be willing to come.
Because you guys have ideas in terms of enabling behaviors that cause this problem to continue. And I think it's important that people also hear that. So it's like, okay, here's what people are doing, and here's some enabling behaviors. Now, can we find the middle of the ground or whatever to make this thing work so that we don't make it worse by enabling behaviors? And that's where I think you guys come in pretty handy in terms of you guys know what works and doesn't work.
Right.
Zach, you're up.
So I think it's fantastic that they're going out and getting to know people in the camps. I completely agree that getting to know their names and getting to know their needs is going to be an avenue to actually helping somebody, just because the needs are so vast. There's so many different boxes to check when it comes to that, and there are rules and structures around your guys' system, which I think is great. But there are some people that are not willing to participate in certain rules and structures. That's how it works. Just because there's so many different facets to this problem. As a whole, you know, it's a sober situation or at least somewhat sober. People can't be visibly or too far intoxicated to go into the mission. Is that correct? Or
If they're visibly under the influence, and particularly with drugs more than alcohol, although there are happy, placid drunks, and then there are people that are belligerent and nasty and mean and beat other people up. And you're going to see certain types of drugs, you're going to see more agitation level. And with that comes potential for problems.
absolutely. Do you guys have, you know, a direct connection to the resources that are available for those that are?
Like I say, we do refer to ADAPT.
When you say you refer to ADAPT, is it just here you should go talk to ADAPT, or do you guys have a hotline phone number to call
we
ADAPT?
call
and get,
ADAPT.
Okay, so it is a thing where you can connect with ADAPT.
The problem there, they only have, their Crossroads program only has 30 beds. So that's challenging. They do have a sobering center out Diamond Lake
Yeah.
as well.
So do you run into issues with ADAPT being unavailable to take on people that you guys can't take on?
I can't answer that question. I don't have direct knowledge. I'll check with Lynn about that, and I'll certainly let one of you folks, I'll maybe send it to Jennifer and Stuart that I've been talking with as far as the ADAPT availability.
Cool. Yeah, I think anytime we can start checking off avenues where there's a potential fall off, that's going to be a key point for success. So thank you for that.
Anybody else? Questions? It looks like we are done with the questions. Thanks so much, Jeff. Sure appreciate you being here and sharing us about the Roseburg mission. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Okay, on the agenda, we are on number 5, commission reports. Anybody have a meeting? Are there any ward reports? Tom?
Going by Brown Park, it looks like most of the dirt work is done, and they're putting up sonotubes to support the playground equipment. Looks like they're moving right along on it. And over at the Umpqua Valley Arts Center, I stopped by there today, and there was like an 1.5 inch copper water line that had been dinged and was leaking, and they're repairing it today.
All right, thanks. Any other ward reports?
The new downtown organization has continued to meet every month for getting community connection with everybody right now. The current focus is starting to get input from all the community members of downtown, the businesses and the people that live there, the people that patron, not so much the patrons as much as connecting the back end of the businesses right now to start figuring out so that everybody's working on a connected vision there. So
Yeah, well, good. Anything else? Okay, we're going to move to number 6, audience participation. And is there anyone that wants to come forward? There was nobody that signed up on the list, but anybody wanting to come forward to speak on an item not on the agenda? Okay, we're on number 7, consent agenda. We have 4 items: the February 9th, 2026 regular meeting minutes, the February 23rd, 2026 regular meeting minutes, the inmate housing intergovernmental agreement extension, and the intergovernmental agreement for the Douglas County Communications Services and radio usage. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Number 8 is our resolution for the Sunshine Park Apartments.
Good evening. And thank you for your patience while I get myself sorted. The city received an annual renewal application from Opportunity Council for the 144 unit affordable housing project at 152 Sunshine Road, which serves households earning at or below 60% of the area median income. Under ORS 307.540 through 307.547, nonprofit low-income housing projects may qualify for a property tax exemption if they meet certain criteria. Staff has reviewed the application and determined the project continues to meet those requirements. The total tax exemption listed in your AIS reflects the combined amount for all taxing districts. The figure shows for the city and the urban renewal district represents only our portion of that total, which is why they do not add up to the full amount, in case you had any questions about the math not mathing. Staff recommends council adopt resolution number 2026-04 approving the tax exemption for the property at 152 Sunshine Road. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Tom?
They allow 60% of Douglas County area median income. What is that figure?
That is a great question that I don't have an answer to.
Oh,
It's also a sliding scale depending on how many members there are in your family. So it's not like one number. If you're single, it's a number. If you're married,
Yeah.
if you're married with 1 or 2 or 14 kids,
Yeah.
we could pull it up, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know that. If you
Absolutely.
Get around to it.
Yeah,
We'll get it to
we
you.
can follow up with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? I have 3 of them. This is the first time on the application that I noticed that 3 people are over the limit. So what happens to them now? Do they have to move out?
No, it doesn't disqualify the program. And no, they are not forced to move out because they're over.
So they get to stay even though everybody in there is supposed to be a certain number or lower? Are they given a certain time to either, I don't know, lose your job?
That's
for
a
lesser
great
pay, or?
That's a great question, and I'm happy to follow up with it. I'm sorry, I feel very unprepared. I
Yes.
apologize.
Sorry, I just happened to notice it for the first time that 3 of them are over. Ruth, yeah.
Okay, so when a person starts becoming successful, they don't want to penalize them and make them leave, so they pay market rate. So their rent goes up to market rate. And then when they move out, then the next person comes in. But usually that's where it is.
So they get to stay for,
They get to stay, but
like
they
a-
pay a market rate.
can they stay like a year or 2? Even though,
Whatever their
They're
lease
taking
is.
somebody else's
So if
low
it's a
income.
6-month lease, then they would have to renew. It would probably renew to a month to month, but it would be, they would stay at a market rate. So as their income goes up, their rent goes up. So is it beneficial to stay in low-income housing when you may have to pay $1,200 somewhere else? What's available? Yeah, they're not just going to kick people out so that they end up in the park.
Yeah, otherwise it's a financial cliff and you're not incentivized to make more money. So
yeah.
they do let them stay, because even to move out, you have to come up with first and last or whatever and find a place, right? So yes, the rent's on that sliding scale and it goes up to market rate. That was my guess, but I knew you would know.
so are they like encouraged at all to like find a market rate place just to open that unit up to somebody else that's low income?
I mean, it depends on what's available. If there's nothing available, they're stuck.
Then they stay.
But yeah, then they stay. But if it's incentive, if their rent is going up, and they can find a cheaper place someplace else. I mean, so market rate may be a lot higher than what another renter is, or another landlord is requiring or requesting. So it's just, these are brand new apartments. They may have more incentive to stay because they're brand new and they don't have all the issues that any of the older homes might have.
Yeah, thanks. And then the other thing I noticed is this is, I think, the first time we've seen it where it says it's a 5-year reserve. So is this a 5-year and the tax exemption is over? I thought it kept on going for as long as they applied, but this one makes the very last part of it, they have that's a 5-year reserve when they did their taxes. So I thought, well, maybe they're on a 5-year max and then they're no longer tax exempt.
They do have to apply every year.
So there's not a 5-year limit, even though it says they established a 5-year reserve. They got tax exempt to establish a 5-year reserve.
So what they're talking about there is they provide certain services to their residents. So it's a 5-year reserve for those services that they provide that helps them keep that tax exempt status. So they're talking about rental assistance, energy assistance, employment, childcare, food, nutrition support, legal services, things like that. So I think what they're doing is establishing a 5-year reserve to make sure they have enough to keep funding those services as part of their nonprofit status. And those extras are part of the requirements to keep to be tax exempt. You're pushing your back.
They're justifying the tax exemption. They're explaining how the tax exemption is benefiting the property and how that benefits the residents. And so what they're saying is because of this tax exemption, they're able to fund the services that they're providing to the residents.
Okay. Ruth?
Okay, so part of that too is the resident service coordinator. So each apartment gets a certain percentage of what they call a door fee. And then that money goes into the resident service coordinator, who then also makes sure that they have access to all of the services that have been done. They've set it up really well. Most organizations don't have that reserve, and it's like a federal mandate that has to be done in order to have the tax exemptions, but then there's no funding from the state. So this is just one way that they have been able to make sure that the residents will be taken care of for up to those 5 years. But usually your tax exemption when you purchase the property or financing it for this type of property is usually 25 to 30 years. So they have to keep that tax piece to it in order to fulfill their government contractual agreements.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks. And then at their apartments, do they have like somebody that when they talk about these services they provide, is it kind of like a one-stop shop where that apartment person can go down, talk to them, say, okay, I need food stamps, I need this and that, driver's license, and that person is kind of like the navigation center, says, here's how you get all those services?
That was my job.
Oh, that was your job?
Yeah, that was my job.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I hooked everybody into the resources and connected them with the different agencies that they needed to go to.
Oh, thanks. Anybody else? Questions? Tom?
So what would happen if everybody down there got a job and we're paying the higher rent and there were no apartments left for low renters or low income people? Would they still get their taxes deferred?
We don't know the answer to that, but probably, because basically they're letting people, they have to qualify when they move in. And like they said before, if people start making more money, they don't want to punish them, but they're going to pay market rate rent. And if everything works out correctly, then because they're paying that much, they're going to look for something less expensive, and then that opens the unit up. I guess if everybody was happy to just continue to live there, I'm not sure what would happen. I don't have an actual answer, but I don't think there's any kicking people out because now they have a job or now they're making money that exceeds the income amounts.
We have a long ways to go because this is 3 out of 144 unit complex. So we would love to have that problem.
Anybody else? Questions? Are we ready for a motion?
I move to adopt resolution number 2026-04, approving a property tax exemption for Opportunity Council property located at 152 Sunshine Road in Roseburg, Oregon.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. We're on number 9, telecommunications franchise, second reading. Let's begin with second reading.
Ordinance number 3621, an ordinance granting a telecommunications franchise to Greenfly Networks, Inc., doing business as Clearfly Communications, effective retroactively to January 1, 2026. This is your second reading.
Do we have any questions? Do we have a motion to adopt 3621?
I move to adopt ordinance number 3621.
Se-
Second by Tom? Was it Tom? Okay. Oh, okay. All righty, second by Tom. We had a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Tom Mikulek. Bruce.
Aye.
Jason Tate.
Aye.
Andrea Zielinski.
Aye.
Katie Williams.
Aye.
Zach Weiss.
Aye.
And motion carries. Therefore, ordinance number 3621 is adopted. Number 10, any department items? Nope. Number 11, any items to come forward? Zach?
I really liked what Tom had asked about the median incomes. I think it would be really neat to see staff put together some sort of economic report of some sort of our town in comparables, in the same way that we like to use comparable cities for other things. I would love to see our comparable median household income. I know there's a lot of information on the Census Bureau's website, average house costs, those kind of things, just to give us kind of a status of Roseburg as a whole. I think that's kind of some information that would be really healthy for all of us.
No, you're not talking about Sunshine Park. You're talking about all of Roseburg.
All of Roseburg.
Yeah. They already have that, don't they? I'm trying to think who, we see that data occasionally. Who's got the data?
There's a couple of places. So it is census data. The Ford family also has a report that they put together annually that contains a lot of that data for Douglas County and other counties in Oregon. I can certainly get you a link to that document.
Okay.
I use AI
You can
in
say
whatever city I'm looking at for the median income, and it really breaks it down really well.
aye. Oh, okay.
So I do a lot of grant writing.
Anybody else? Any items? Okay, here's our schedule for everybody in the audience. We're going to adjourn the meeting, and then we're going to move into Urban Renewal Agency Board meeting. And after that, we will adjourn that meeting and move into executive session. So you're welcome to leave if you want. You can hang around and listen to our Urban Renewal Agency Board meeting. And then, of course, you'll have to leave when we get to the executive session. So to everybody else, let's turn to the Urban Renewal Agency meeting, and we're going to call that to order. And the first item of business.
Sorry, Larry, were you going to read the script,
script?
for Urban Renewal?
For executive session.
Yep, okay, sorry, I gotta read the script for the executive
What I
session
meant, not
coming
what I
up.
said.
And remember, that'll be after the Urban Renewal Agency. The City of Roseburg City Council will meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.660, number 2, letter E. Subsection 2E allows the council to meet in executive session to deliberate with persons designated by the council to negotiate real property transactions. Representative of the news, media, and designated staff are allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representative of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of that session as previously announced. And then the council doesn't make any decisions in the executive session, and at the end of that session, then we will be totally adjourned for the evening. So at this point, we are going to go to the Urban Renewal Agency meeting, and the first thing on the agenda is the consent of the December 8th, 2025 meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Department item is the Sunshine Park Apartments for their tax exemption. So anything to add?
No, but thank you. Unless you have more questions that I might not have answers to, but I'll try.
But we have to do it twice, once for the regular council and once for urban renewal. Okay, do we have a motion? Right here.
I move to adopt resolution number UR-2026-01, approving a property tax exemption for Opportunity Council property located at 152 Sunshine Road in Roseburg, Oregon.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. And at this point, we'll be going to executive session, so it is about 8:31, and let's start in about 2 or 3 minutes. So stand up, stretch if you need to, and we'll start shortly.